President Barack Obama received criticism from progressives for not accomplishing the change that he promised, and rather chose to continue a lot of the policies that were slightly to the left of center, whereas right-left people had a different view of him. But anywho, Obama announced that he and Biden would seek another term, and the Democratic establishment pretty much went along with it and declared him the winner from day one. But the primary still had to be held, so a couple of contenders decided to challenge Obama despite the unlikelihood of success. Many people were speculated to run against Obama in 2012, and the most prominent names that were thrown out were former Senator Mike Gravel, Representative at the time Alan Grayson, failed Senate candidate Alvin Green, Secretary of State at the time and 2008 presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, former Governor of Vermont and 2004 presidential candidate Howard Dean, former Senator of Wisconsin Russ Feingold, Representative at the time Dennis Kucinich, Senator of Vermont Bernie Sanders, and even perennial candidate Ralph Nader, because, as we all know, after all these years of not running as a Democrat, he'll just choose this time to. But those guys didn't actually run. You're looking for candidates that actually did attempt to run for the office of the White House. First, there was Jeff Boss, a candidate who based his whole campaign on seeing the NSA plan 9/11, and Warren Mulser, a modern monetary theory economist who was running as a Tea Party Democrat, and Harry Braun, a renewable energy consultant and perennial candidate. But those three only filed and never actually appeared on any state ballot. There were a lot of candidates that appeared on the New Hampshire primary, and just that primary alone. They were Aldous Tyler, a radio host from Wisconsin, with 106 votes in the New Hampshire primary, Bob Green, former VP of Engineering at Gerber Scientific Instruments, with 213 votes in the New Hampshire primary, Ed O'Donnell, an activist from Delaware, with 222 votes in the New Hampshire primary, Craig Tax-Freeze Friess, real estate agent from California, with 400 votes in the New Hampshire primary, John D. Haywood, an attorney from North Carolina, with 423 votes in the New Hampshire primary, Vermin Supreme, a perennial satirical candidate, with 833 votes in the New Hampshire primary, and Ed Cohen, a teacher from Vermont, with 945 votes in the New Hampshire primary. There was even a lesser-known candidates forum where, well, we'll get back to that later. But not every candidate was on the ballot in New Hampshire. Two candidates were on the ballot in one different state. Those candidates were Jim Rogers, a perennial candidate from Oklahoma, who got 13.8% of the Oklahoma primary vote and qualified for 3 delegates, and Keith Russell Judd, a prison inmate and perennial presidential candidate, got 40.65% of the vote in the West Virginia primary and qualified for at least 1 delegate. But there was also a third kind of candidate, and those were the ones on multiple state ballots. These are the ones that you probably want to hear about the most. The first one was Bob Ely, an entrepreneur from Illinois. He was on the ballot in New Hampshire, Texas, Louisiana, and Oklahoma. Ely seemed less serious than most other candidates, but he still earned a notable 0.34% of the vote in the primary. The next major candidate was Darcy Richardson, a historian/author and perennial third-party candidate. He even served as Eugene McCarthy's campaign manager in 1988. He was a center-left progressive candidate, much like Bernie Sanders, who was pressured to run because of the fact that no viable progressive Democrat was a big challenge to Obama. His preferred candidate would have been former Secretary of Labor Robert Reich. Richardson was on the ballot in New Hampshire, Missouri, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and Texas. Darcy managed to receive 0.47% of the vote in the primary. However, by April, he suspended his campaign to support former Republican candidate Buddy Roemer for the Reform Party nomination, then attempted to run for the Reform Party nomination himself, then endorsed Roseanne Barr's campaign for president. The most controversial of all the candidates was Randall Terry, an anti-abortion activist and perennial candidate for multiple offices and parties. He was controversial since he is known for using very controversial ads, which I will not be showing due to the fact that this video could get taken down, which showed things such as aborted fetuses and decapitation. In fact, he wanted to air some of these ads during Super Bowl 46, but was disallowed due to equal time rules, which is where a network can't air material about one political opinion without allowing the other opinion to have equal airtime. He participated in the New Hampshire lesser-known candidates debate, where Vermin Supreme did this.
Jesus told me to make Randall Terry gay. He's turning gay!
Despite this, Randall Terry was on the ballot in New Hampshire, Oklahoma, and Missouri. He even received some notoriety for being endorsed by conservative political commentator Ann Coulter. He earned 0.26% of the vote and qualified for 7 delegates. Then he chose to continue his campaign as an independent, earning 0.01% of the popular vote. But the most prominent of the Democratic challengers was Tennessee attorney and perennial congressional candidate John Wolfe Jr. He was the other major progressive challenger to Obama. He called for Medicare for all, the restoration of Glass-Steagall, and reinstating antitrust laws. He was on the ballot in New Hampshire, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, and was a write-in candidate in his home state of Tennessee. Wolfe participated in the lesser-known candidates forum alongside Terry, Haywood, and many others. And in the Louisiana primary, he managed to receive 11.82% of the vote and qualified for 4 delegates. In fact, this, combined with Judd's very close second in West Virginia, led to many media outlets speculating that Wolfe could be a major upset or even win the Arkansas primary. Wolfe managed to get a whopping 41.63% of the vote in the primary and qualified for 19 delegates, and overall won 1.32% of the vote in the primary, though his name apparently appeared on the ballot in the Idaho general election without his consent. I know this because I interviewed him for his 2018 run for Tennessee Senator. However, notice how I said that Wolfe, Terry, Rogers, and Judd qualified for delegates, but not actually got any delegates? That's because supposedly all 4 forgot to file the one form that actually allowed them to receive delegates. John Wolfe attempted to file a lawsuit in order to get his delegates, but they shut him down. And unfortunately, as you can tell, none of the candidates got delegates or were even acknowledged at the convention. But at least we have progressive alternatives in the general election. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when a future video of mine comes out. And if you're interested in more political content from me, you can go to my website, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Quora. What are your thoughts on these candidates? Do you think any of them would have been a good viable choice against Obama? Leave your response in the comment section below.